Hello and welcome back to RamsTalkPodcast. Well, pre-season is over, thankfully. The next game is next Friday against Blackburn in the league, back in the Championship. And ahead of that, we are going to preview the season, throw some predictions out there, maybe a bit of positivity as well. And it's a full house tonight. We've got all here except from Jake. Jake has decided to become a Real Betis fan, so won't be on the podcast any longer. I'm joking. He's just on holiday. But joining me tonight, first of all, Jacob Hackett. Jacob, how are you?
I'm good. It's nice to be here. Looking forward to the season, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. I think yesterday was a little bit better, wasn't it? I think the performance was a little bit better all round. So hopefully we can take that into the game next Friday. Also joined by Callum Boocock.
How are you, mate? Yeah, not too bad. It's just going to be an interesting season. It's going to be a good one to preview, and all looking forward to Friday night back in the Championship.
Very true, very true. Vic, have you got your predictions sorted? You've had all day to think about it.
I have, but they're probably very far-fetched. So we'll see how it goes as the episode goes on.
Yeah, I think if there was one man that we were looking for positivity from, I think it's going to be you. So looking forward to getting those positive vibes. Also, Adam Titley, it's getting close to moustache season. Adam, is it coming back? That's what the fans want to know.
It will be. I've been thinking about it today, actually.
Yes.
And I think, looking forward for it to making a return.
Well, we look forward to seeing that. Before we get on to some of the questions and predictions, and saying that if you have got any questions, if you have got any predictions, get them in the chat if you're watching live. I just wanted to touch on pre-season and think about it as a whole, Jacob, first. What do you think Paul Warne would have learnt from this Derby squad during the course of pre-season?
I think he probably will have learned that there's certain systems that we probably can't start the season off with. I think he's tried to use a variety of different formations that some maybe have, some maybe haven't worked. And he's made comments on the players that are currently in the team and that a 4-3-3 would suit that. And so I think shape-wise, he will have learned a lot. And I think judging from his comments, really, it is mainly about personnel, what we need to bring in, what we've got enough of. And he's mentioned the players out wide. He's mentioned bringing a centre back in that's a little bit faster. A big man up top. So I think he's probably just learned what we need for this new season. But I think he's going to learn a lot more about the challenge from Friday onwards, to be honest.
And in Callum, we talked there about some signings that we've made, and I'm sure we're going to discuss them a bit later. Are you surprised that we've not added a bit more depth across the pitch at this stage?
I'd say yes, because of what he said at the end of last season. He said we needed around 12 players, and obviously we've only got about half that. So you'd probably say yes, by the start of the season, we are quite a bit short of the mark of what he said. But I think we've plugged the gaps that we think we needed to, other than probably the goalkeeper is probably the main one and the number 9. So if those two positions were filled, then I'd be much more confident going into the season. But at the end of the day, we've just got to work with the cards we've been dealt and work with a team that's obviously at the moment kind of hit and miss as to what we're going to see on Friday. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how we shape up, but also how the team perform, because they've been inconsistent during pre-season.
Yeah, very inconsistent. I think you'll agree. And yeah, I think it will be interesting to see what formation, what personnel he goes with on Friday. And I think we're going to have that question come up later. So interested to hear what your 11 would be, guys. Vic, we got to see that away strip in person yesterday. I have to say it looks a little bit better on than it does off, I guess, from the pictures that we initially saw. What do you think of it? Are you a fan? Have you changed your mind? What are you thinking about that strip?
I've done a 180. I actually like the kit now. I think now seeing it on the players, I thought, it doesn't look too bad. I've even contemplated buying the kit because I'm like, I'm doing a shirt collection and I've got all the Derby kits. But to be fair, I think it's one I'd wear as well. So yeah, I've done a complete 180. I think it looks quite nice and quite smart and tidy, to be fair.
What do you think, Adam? You a fan?
I am. I'm a fan of it. I'm thinking about in the future when playing some of them Friday night games away from home, we've got that strip on, and hopefully we might score a few last-minute winners in it and become one of them sort of kits that we have some good form in. So yeah, I'm a fan of it. I like the colours, and yeah, I think it's a bit different from what we're used to.
It is a little bit different, and I think sometimes different is often put in that category of being bad. But yeah, potentially I'll do the same as you, Vic. I might do a bit of a 180 on it and end up buying it and maybe loving it. Who knows? But let's get on to some questions then. Let's get on to the first question and prediction. Coming to you first, Jacob. The big question: where will Derby County finish this season?
I've got my head pretty screwed on a 21st place finish. I think we've got more than enough in the squad to stay up, but I think in typical Derby fashion, it'll be nail biting right down to the last day sort of thing. But yeah, I do expect to stay up, but I think it'll be right down to the wire and just above that bottom three.
Callum, what have you gone for?
Slightly more optimistic, but not too much. I've gone 17th, so just slightly away from that relegation scrap. But I agree with Jacob. I think it will be quite an unnervy season. So yeah, so I've gone 17th for Derby this season.
And this is where we say we've got Vic coming up, and I've just got a call through my mobile as my headset is connected to my mobile and also my phone, which is a bit of a silly idea. But Vic, coming to you next. This is where you say that we're going to get the playoffs, surely.
I wish. No, I'm a bit more optimistic than the other two boys. I've gone for anywhere between 11th and 14th, just purely because I don't think we're going to struggle as much as people think. I think we'll make those signings late on towards the transfer at the end of the transfer window, and I think we'll be all right. I think we've got enough quality in the squad to have a mid-table finish with a maybe slight push on the top half. So I've got anywhere between 11th and 14th.
Yeah, that's fairly optimistic, I'd say. Adam, what's your advance on that?
I've gone a bit further down the table. I've gone 20th. I think it'll be one of them seasons where a bit up and down. You know, you look at December and it's difficult. But I think it will come down to the final day, and we'll do it again. So 20th for me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of obviously the pundits and a lot of the media are saying that we're going to struggle and we're going to go down. I just think back, and I think we've mentioned it on the pod before, the season that we went down, we had just kids, we had the deduction, and we were still able to fight. And it wasn't on paper, it was actually impossible, but we still would have amassed points to be, comfortably safe. So I think as well, we're going to make some signings. I think we're going to dip into the loan market and add some strength. And I've gone for 16th. Jake has also gone for 15th. So he's gone one place above me. So I think we're all fairly confident that we'll stay in the division. I don't think you'll find a Derby fan actually that will be predicting to go down. Maybe that will change come Friday evening, but we'll see on that one. Next is top goal scorer. Jacob, who is going to finish with the Derby County version of the Golden Boot? Maybe the league Golden Boot. Who knows?
I had to think about it a little bit because I'm hoping that it'll be a new signing that we don't know yet. But based on the squad at the moment, I've gone for Jerry Yates. I think he looks the natural threat moving forward. It's a shame we don't have him for the first 3 games, but I think in the long run, if he stays fit and he's playing regularly, I think he's going to be a little bit more of a threat than the other players we've got. So Yates for me.
Is it Yates for you too, Callum?
It is. I have also gone for Yates. I think that this setup and style suits him. It suited him in his days at Blackpool and in the beginnings of his time at Swansea. And the only reason he didn't is because they changed the entire system. We suit him. It's just whether he starts if there is a number 9 coming in. So if he does, then I'm backing him to be top goal scorer.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking. If we go and get a proven number 9, there's potential that player could go on and maybe score double figures. I just look at it and I think I'm not too sure if Jerry Yates gets that. I'm not too sure. But yeah, Vic, what do you think?
Yeah, again, it is signings dependent, but I have gone for Jerry Yates. I just think that his movement off the ball is second to none compared to the other strikers that we do have at the club. I just think he needs a goal to get going. Once he gets that goal, gets that confidence going, I think we'll see the floodgates open with Jerry Yates. But I've also said that Mendes-Lang will be closely following him. I think his finishing's probably improved, if anything, we've seen from pre-season, especially against Barnsley. He took his 2 goals really well. And I think if we do see him play as more of a makeshift centre forward, I think he'll bag quite a few goals. So Yates for me, closely followed by Mendes-Lang.
Adam, is it a full Jerry Yates house, or are you going to pick someone else from the bunch?
It won't be a full house today, unfortunately.
No.
I know I've had to spoil it. I've gone Caden Jackson for me, a player that I think has always been tipped to have a bit of quality and then played out of position and not had a good run of games. But I think if played in that forward position, not out wide, then I think he could really be a big hand for us this season with his finishing. And I know Jerry Yates will, most likely in my head saying Jerry Yates will outscore him, but I think if Caden Jackson finds some form down the middle, then I think it'd be hard to move him out of that position. So Caden Jackson for me.
It's a good shout, and I think we've said on previous episodes that if a player finds their feet at Derby and finds their home, you think back to Colin Kazim-Richards written off and scored goals here, and other players over the years that have come in and just been able to find their form, especially at Pride Park. I think that potentially could happen with Caden Jackson, and pace to burn. If we play the way that suits him, he's going to find himself in opportunities to score goals. Next up, we've got the Nathaniel Mendes-Lang trophy, the assist king. Will he be beaten this season, Jacob, in terms of assists? Is there anyone else in that team that could take that trophy off Mendes-Lang?
Not for me. He retains that title for me. I think we saw his quality last year, and I don't think that it's going to be knocked too much coming into the Championship. It's it's a league as well, and I still think he's going to have a great output. I did consider Houtmain. I thought with his delivery, I feel like he could get quite a few assists this season, but purely due to position and Mendes-Lang being further forward, being on that right flank or left flank, then yeah, I think Mendes-Lang keeps that title for this season. Thinking
the same, Callum?
Yeah, I was about to say, Jamie, there's no point coming to me. Jacob's just said every single thing I've about to say. He's Nathaniel Mendes-Lang in the position and the way we're going to play seems to be the sure bet. The only thing that I do have against him is if Paul Warne goes against the 4-3-3 and goes the 3-5-2, because Nathaniel Mendes-Lang down the middle is not as good as him out wide. So if Warne doesn't play to his strengths, then we might see that assist king come from somewhere else, maybe Houtmain.
Vic, what are you thinking?
I'm gonna go for Kenza Houtmain. I just think with the vision that he's got, you can see he's a class above what we've already got in terms of the midfield three. I think if we do have a potential midfield three of course Osborne, Ozo / Adams and Houtmain, them two will do all the dirty work. That will free up Houtmain to find that killer pass, and I think he'll get a lot of assists that way. I think when we've got players like Jerry Yates who run off the shoulder of the last man, you're looking at a Houtmain to sort of put that ball through to put him through on goal so we can score. So yeah, I'm going for Kenzo on that one.
6 months ago, I think Adam Titley would have said Louis Sibley for assist king. Unfortunately, you can't say that now, Adam. So who are you going to say?
That's right. I would have said Louis Sibley. Would have been my first choice. I've gone with Mendes-Lang to retain it, to be honest. I think he's going to be that almost that talisman for us down the wing. I think maybe people see him as Mr. Derby County this coming season, or I hope so anyway. I think his output, like Jacob said, will hopefully still be quite good in the Championship, and I think his quality out wide will be instrumental for us in this coming season.
Yeah, I agree with Vic. I think Houtmain for me has to be up there. Jake's gone for Osborne, which has also been mentioned in the comments as well by Tim Allen. I imagine Osborne's going to be on set pieces potentially, and I think as we've seen pre-season, he has also got an eye for a pass, experienced at this level, so maybe he can bring some form into this level and hit the ground running. But I think that's a good shout. But I think the good thing, maybe not with goals, but assists, I think we do see creative players within this team now, whereas last season we might have said that we're lacking that bit of creativity. I think we have signed some players that are able to find a good pass. I think it's just a case of finding the person on the end of it to put it in the back of the net. But hopefully Paul Warne can help that in the next couple of weeks in the transfer market. Next up, we've got Player of the Year. So, I mean, it's going to have to be some guess if you get this one right. But there'll be a couple of players that are running through people's minds. Jacob, who have you gone with?
Houtman. Again, I just think from pre-season, a step above the rest. He really does stand out in that team. I think he's a very good player. I think he's one that will be lucky to keep hold of for the full length of his contract here. So I'm already a little bit heartbroken thinking about the future, but that's me being pessimistic. But yeah, I think he's gonna be a pretty standout player for us.
He's come in with lots of fanfare, and I think for me it goes one of two ways. Either it goes Mike Tuirik's way, or it goes I don't know. Who's our best ever export? Maybe Paolo Wanchop or somebody like that. I don't think there's any in between. Callum, have you gone for Houtman, and is that your reasoning too?
No, I haven't. I have gone for one of the defenders. I've gone for Nelson, just because I think this season defence is going to be key, because we're going to be backs against the wall by the looks of it. The way we're playing is going to be soaking up pressure and counter-attacking. And Nelson at the moment is the standout defender. Cashin isn't on there at the moment for me. And every time that he seems to be without Nelson, he seems a bit lost. So I think Nelson's going to be the mainstay, and that's why I think he'll be my player of the year.
Vic is nodding along for those audio viewers. Vic is
gonna
nodding
stick,
along. It is going to stick. I'm going to keep saying it every single episode. Vic is nodding, and also he's very defensively minded, Vic. I think he's a defender's defender. So I think he might agree with you. Vic?
I think you've got me wrong then.
No.
I'm going, although I am a defender by trade. Yeah, I've got gone for Ben Osborne. I just think that in the midfield, I think he's going to be exactly what keeps his team ticking. I think we're going to see, obviously, a Derby-born player who's going to give everything for the shirt. I think we're going to see a lot of pride and stuff come from him. But yeah, he's, like we said, he's got that Championship and Premier League experience, and I think you'll see that along with Kenzo, he's going to be a class above. So I've gone for Ben Osborne because I really think he's going to shine for us this year.
And I think he probably has to give an extra 5% for playing down the road, and also an extra 5% for being a Derby lad, like you say. So I think, yeah, that's a good shout. Adam, who have you gone for?
I've gone for Goodman. I think just that quality, I think, will win the fans over. And like we've seen in pre-season, he's almost that step above the players that we have. Such a good player, and at such a young age, like Jacob said, I think we'll be lucky to keep hold of him for the full length of his contract. So I think his quality will shine through, and he'll win over the fans. And although I don't think his output will be incredibly high because of the position he's in, the players in front of him, I still think he'll win over the fans with just his technical ability in that middle of the park.
Yeah, and a bit of heart as well. I think Derby fans always like a player that gives their all, puts a good challenge in, keys up the fans when they need to get behind the team. And I feel like Ben Osborne is going to do that. Jake also agrees. He thinks Osborne is going to get Player of the Year. I went with Houtman just because I think he has just got that flair. And I think if he finds his feet early, I think he's going to be some player. And again, to agree with Jacob and Adam, I think maybe we're going to be in a situation that come the end of this season, maybe there'll be some other Championship teams, or maybe even teams in the Prem that are wanting to see if he's able to make that step up. So, yeah, I've gone with Houtman on Player of the Year. Next up is Young Player of the Year. Jacob, who do you think's got that one?
I almost went for a Houtman double swoop with him being 22. I almost put him down for both, and it was last minute, but I've gone for Ozo. I don't think Cashin is going to step up as much as we're expecting from pre-season. I think he'll still be a fairly solid outlet for us at the back, but I think there's going to be other players below 23 that shine a little bit brighter. Ozo's looked brilliant in pre-season. I don't see that stopping, really, unless there's anything happens out of his control. But yeah, I think he's going to be a quality player for us, and you can tell already why the Palace fans rated him so highly.
Yeah, Tim agrees on YouTube with that one. I do as well. I'm going to give my prediction early on this one, just because you said David Ozo. I think he's got potential to be absolutely fantastic. And when we announced him, that is the kind of loan sign that you want. Not to say that Jerry Yates isn't, but I think there's something that was just a bit more exciting about a player like David Ozo coming through the door. Callum, do you agree? Is it Ozo? Is it cash in?
I've gone for Ozo. I think he's lived up in these only 1 or 2 games to the things that Bruno mentioned in our preview when we signed him. If you didn't check that out, go check that out because it needs some views. But no, he in terms of a transitional player is exactly what we need. He's, like I said, he's like a young Ibu Adams in the terms of his tenacity and the way he loves to put a tackle in, but also his feet are really underrated. I mean, there was one move where he kind of took it past 2 players in the middle of the pitch yesterday and then played it out wide. And you're kind of thinking that that's the Premier League quality that you get from a lone player from a Premier League team. So if we can dabble in a couple more, that'd be ideal. So therefore, it will be Ozo for me for the Young Player of the Year.
So 2 for Ozo. We've got a comment on YouTube from Tomo, which actually has a picture of Liam Thompson as well. So I don't know if it's the real Liam Thompson, but he said that Cashin is just lowering his expectations as not to be sold before the end of the window, or he's just making himself cheaper so that Brighton don't have to pay as much. Maybe, who knows? Vic, are you going to agree? Is David Ozo going to be that Young Player of the Year?
I think it's hard to look past Ozo, to be honest. I think we can see the quality that he brings to the side. We can see how good he is as a player. And I was speaking to a couple of West Brom fans, and when I looked at Ozo, I thought about the impact Lukaku had when he was at West Brom. And I think Ozo can have that similar sort of impact. Obviously, he's not going to score the goals that Lukaku did, but it's just that young player with that unknown quality that they have. So I think Ozo, but I'm going to give a special mention to Brown as well. I think he might break through this year. If he can break through and if he can make that striker's role his and score a few goals, you never know where it could lead for him. So Ozo front runner, but Brown not far behind.
Yeah, you've got to think with Brown, there's potentially going to be an opportunity unless he goes out next week on loan. Who knows? I think for me, I'd like to see him go out on loan, but maybe Paul Warren wants to stick him around for a little while until we get a new number 9. But yeah, that's a good shout. And I think looking at what he did on loan for Gateshead, he's going to be a player. It's just about making sure that we're doing the right thing for his development. Adam, who have you gone for?
I've gone for Ozo as well. I think he's shown that he's ready to start in that starting lineup. I mean, he showed it for Palace last season, but he's almost solidified that, hasn't he, during this pre-season. I'd love to say Brown because I'm a big fan of his and I really want him to prove himself this coming season. I think he's got that experience of men's football now, even though he's at non-league level. I think that's the key experience that you need just to make the step up in the team. But I think Ozo's gonna steal the show this season. I think he's looks a real talent, and his ability will be key for us if he can stay fit and Palace don't need to recall him. Then I think he's going to be one of the first names on the team sheet this whole season for me.
Yeah, the recall clause is something that absolutely scares me. Maybe just from time of playing Football Manager in my younger years, but yeah, hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully they can let him stay. But I agree. I think he looks really good. He's my pick as I've said. Jake's gone a little bit edgy. He did give me these before he went away on holiday. He's gone for Aaron Cashin. Cashin for me, I think he doesn't look his normal self. I think we were talking about it off air, weren't we? Maybe it's the case that he can't get up for these kind of pre-season games and it's purely just minutes for him. But yeah, a couple of mistakes in pre-season that I run Aaron Cashin like. So hopefully he can sort himself out and get back to the form that we know he has. Next up, Jacob, surprise package. So someone among the team who is probably going to, I guess, overperform in terms of the expectation that the fans would have for them. Who would you go with?
For me, I'm not sure whether it's me believing it will happen or just keeping my fingers crossed that it will. But I've picked Corey Blackett-Taylor. I think there's more to him than what we've seen. He showed it for Charlton. he joined us. There were fitness problems. He wasn't quite, he wasn't getting regular minutes in our team. It was at the back end of a season where we had to have everyone fully fit and ready to go to win promotion. So he kind of came at the wrong time, sort of thing, and he didn't give us the impact we'd hoped he would have. Obviously now I've got pre-season out of the way, but he's picked up another injury, so I feel like it could go either way. But I think once he's back to full fitness, he should have enough quality to have a better output and shine a little bit more than he did last season. So I'm hoping it's Blackett Taylor.
Yeah, and we all want that, don't we? So I think we know the kind of player that he can be. He is that player that could make the step up, that can make the step up, but he's got to stay fit and he's got to get game time. And when he gets that game time, he's got to make a difference and he's got to be better than the other options in those positions. So, yeah, I agree. Callum, who would you say your surprise package is?
I've gone for my fellow brother-in-arms, Callum Elder. I think that he, in the pre-season, has looked much better than his previous stint last season. I mean, it didn't have to improve much, but when you looked at the way he played last year, he looked out of place. He looked off it completely, and everyone was kind of questioning that he's not going to be able to step it up in the Championship. But I think he's much more improved this year. And when Wilson's not played and Nyambe's played right back, he's been our main threat from those fullback positions. And he's looking much more assured when going forward. So I'm backing him to go and make that left spot his own rather than going after him to buy someone else. So I'm going with Callum Elder as my surprise package.
Vic, who have you got?
I've got a couple. So I've gone for Caden Jackson. I just think that when he signed, I think a lot of fans looked at his goal scoring record and just sort of written him off already. I think he'll have a really important part to play in this squad. I just think that his movement off the ball again, his pace, his directness is something we've probably lacked in the last few seasons. Only heavily reliant on Mendes Lang. So I've gone for Jackson. I've also gone for Kane Wilson, and the reason I've gone for Kane Wilson is I think the last time he was in the Championship, people might have thought he was out of his depth, and I think he's probably got something to prove. We know he's got the quality. He's shown it us last season. I think he's going to have something to prove in the Championship, and I think he's going to take it by storm. So, yeah, I've gone for Caden Jackson and Kane Wilson.
Better than one answer, two answers. So I absolutely love
That's
it.
cheating.
And I love
cheating.
Yeah, that is cheating. That is cheating. And I love the way that Adam was smiling when you were talking about Caden Jackson, just because you're obviously making his selection for the top goal scorer better. But yeah, Adam, who have you gone with? Is that the same? Is that the same answer for you?
I've gone with Kane Wilson, so one of Vic's answers. I think I agree with Vic in terms of the quality, as I think Kane Wilson's dribbling is probably one of the best players on the ball that I've seen in around the last 10 years, watching Derby County week in, week out. I think when he runs at players, he reminds me of Malcolm Eberway a little bit, with how he can get around players, and there's that unpredictability of where he's going to go, but make it. I think he might lack that end product a little bit, but I think now with the strikers that we've brought in, I don't think his output in terms of goals will matter too much as a wing back / fullback. So I'm going to say Kane Wilson because I think he could pop up with a few more assists, and also in a division where teams have a lot more quality than what we were used to last season in League One. I think Kane Wilson will have that little bit extra time on the ball to create something. I think he could surprise quite a few teams this coming season.
Yeah, and he's had another pre-season under Paul Warne, and as he said in that Rams TV interview, he's the fattest, fittest player in the club. That's why they call him the Buffalo. He's very strong, very direct, and I think a lot of fans are going to be hoping to see him bombing up and down that right-hand side. I've actually gone for someone different. I've gone for Barkhuizen. I just think he might get a start. And I think he's obviously played Championship football before. I think the pressure's not really on him as much because we've signed players at the top end of the pitch. But when he's had games and done well, he's very much a confidence player. And I think if he could start well, potentially he could keep a place in the team. We know what he's about. He's got pace. He's got an eye for a goal. So yeah, that's my surprise package. Not expecting too much from him from a baseline, but I think his ceiling is quite high. So that's why I've gone with him. Right. Next up, Jacob, is the team to start. Your team to start against Blackburn. And if you are listening on YouTube Live, give us your team and I'll read them out after the lads have named their team. But firstly, formation, and then talk me through your team.
So I've gone for 3-4-1-2, which we finished last season with and still promotion. And I'm not actually sure I even agree with my own team I've made here. Pre-season has confused me. So I might start arguing with myself live in a minute. But I've gone for 3-4-1-2. Vickers in net because he's what we have. A back three of Cashin, Nelson, Nyambe. Either side in the four, we've got Barkhuizen on one wing and Wilson on the other, with Ozo and Osborne in the middle. And then Houtmain just ahead, and Collins and Mendes-Lang up top.
And why would you argue with yourself? Why would you argue with yourself? Why would you?
Because I want Adams in there. And he's not in there. I was going to have Osborne at left wing back, but he's number 8 by the looks of it. He's playing in the middle and playing well in the middle. On the left-hand side, wasn't really too sure who to pick. I'm thinking realistically it can't be Blackett-Taylor because he's injured. So Barkhuizen kind of has to fill that spot there. And equally up top, I think Jackson has been good in pre-season. He has been good in pre-season, but there's a part of me that has that desire to see a big number 9 with his back to goal that's going to bully defenders. And I think that man is James Collins. I think we should look to bring in another number 9 to kind of take Collins' place. But for now, if I think Collins can do a job in the Championship, he's not going to set the world alight, but I think he can do a job. So he's in the team for me.
He's got the number 9 in his back, so there's a reason for that. Callum, formation, team, talk me through it.
Well, just before I do that, I'd like to give a real good commendant to Jake, who's not even in the stream and he's not even in the country, and he still finds a way to slander me in the comments. I see you there, Jake. Just remember, we're going to Blackburn together. So, but for Blackburn, I mean, I can imagine it sticking to the formation that we saw at the weekend. So I'm going 4-3-3. I've gone Vickers in goal, Wilson right back, Cashin, Nelson, and an Elder left back. Ozo sitting just slightly deeper with Osborne and Kenzo just in front of him. And then Nathaniel Mendes-Lang and Jackson on the wings. It's the striker that I'm unsure of. I don't want to start with James Collins going into the Championship season. So therefore, out of that, I've gone for Dosanjh Brown to start. And it's purely just because I can't see Collins starting our Championship season against Blackburn. So I'm sorry, Jacob and Jamie. I've gone for Dosanjh Brown to have his breakaway start, and he's going to score because we're on Sky. So he's then going to start the next few games while we wait for Jerry Yates to come back.
Well, one thing for sure, you and Jacob could never be assistant and manager of a football team because you just wouldn't agree, would you? So yeah, there's not going to be a call coming from David Clowes anytime soon, unfortunately for you two. Let's go to the voice of reason, Vic. This has got to be the most well-rounded, thought-out 11. So talk me through it.
I've gone pretty similar to Callum, to be fair, in the sense we've gone for formation of 4-3-3. Vickers in goal, just purely because we don't have anybody else, so God help us. Wilson right back, Nelson. I'm really reluctant to put Cashin in there, but I think he'll start anyway. I think Cashin's had a poor pre-season. Like you said, it could be just because he just wants some minutes in his legs. Me personally, I would have started Nyambe ahead of Cashin just because I think he's been that poor. But I think Cashin will start. Elder left back. Midfield 3 of Ozo, Osborne and Kenzo. Just thought the midfield 3 yesterday, the balance was there for me. And I think that's what we need to sort of build on going forward. So we'll have that. On the right, we'll have Mendes-Lang. On the left, we'll go with Barkhuizen because CBT's not fit. And up front, we'll go with Caden Jackson. Just think that we're going to need quite a lot of pace to take on their 2 centre-backs on Friday. And you never know, he might surprise us and get a goal or 2. So, yeah, Jackson up top. So 4-3-3, as we were from yesterday.
Well, we know that Caden Jackson is going to be in Adam's team. So tell us about the other 10 players, Adam.
I still think there's some holes in our team. I think that left back position, but I'm going to imagine we're going to play 4-3-3 Steve McLaren football on Friday night. It's going to be champagne football. I've got Vickers in goal. I've got Wilson right back, Cashin and Nelson in the 2 centre backs, and I've got Ben Osborne left back. Not my preferred pick at left back. Prefer him in the midfield, but like I said, I think we've got holes in our team. And then I've got a midfield 3 of Adams, Ozzo, and Goodmine. Them 3 can find whatever position they want in that midfield. It will be passing triangles all over the pitch. It won't matter who's back, who's forward. It will just work. And then Mendes Lang out wide, Barkhuizen on the other wing. I think he performs better in the Championship when he's got more time on the ball. I think we saw that last season as well. When he had more time on the ball, he was effective. And then Caden Jackson up top to open his goal-scoring record and hopefully win the Golden Boot of the Championship this coming season. But yeah, 4-3-3, Steve McLaren-esque football, and we'll be away.
Sounds like promotion.
Oh my
Sounds
God.
like promotion. Yeah, I'm not too sure it's going to be the way that Paul Warren plays football, but you never know.
How does that fit with your 21st position that you came up with at the start of the stream?
Don't question my predictions, Callum. They all form in their own way.
It'll be the British summertime derby, and then the Dark Knights will roll in and will fall off the edge of a cliff. But I'll go through Jake's opening team. So he's gone for Vickers, Niambi, Nelson, Cashin, Forsyth. So 4 at the back. Ozzo, Osborne, Goodmine, Barkhuizen, Jackson, and Nathaniel Mendes Lang. So quite similar there. I think the same names are obviously coming up, just a few iterations of formations. Comments on YouTube. So Scraggy the Bear, I absolutely love some of these names on YouTube, but he's gone Vickers unless Zetterstrom signs, Cashin, Niambi, Nelson, Osborne, Kenzo, Ozzo, Wilson, NML, Collins, Jackson. We've also got Peter Kerr who says Zetters. Zetterstrom hasn't signed, but he's already got a nickname, which I absolutely love. Niambi, Cashin, Nelson, Osborne, Ozzo, Haldmine, Ebu, NML, Yates, and Jackson. Mine, I've gone a little bit different. I thought a little bit outside the box. So I've gone Vickers because I don't believe that we'll have a new keeper by then. I've gone Bradley, Nelson, Cashin at the back. And I know that Niambi is a good player. However, I think that physicality might just be needed. And I'm expecting something different from Bradley. Adam, I know. We can talk about it off air. I've gone for a 3-4-3. So I've gone Wilson on the right, Adams and Ozzo in the middle, Osborne on the left. I've gone Nathaniel Mendes Lang on the right, Barkhuizen on the left, and I've got Haldmine playing in this false 9 role, which means that Barkhuizen and Nathaniel Mendes Lang can get on when he is on the ball. So, look, Paul Warren, if you're listening, give it a try. It will work.
He hasn't tried it at all. He's just going to throw it out the back then.
But pre-season has been that bad that he needs to try something new. That's what I believe. So there's our teams for the first day. Let's see how close we are when we get that team news on Friday evening. Just a bit more on the league now. So Jacob, who do you think is going to finish top 2?
Burnley and Luton. I've gone for Burnley and Luton. I think I've seen quite a few people writing Luton off, thinking that they're going to come down and struggle to reach the playoffs, but they've kept a lot of the team that fought so hard in the Premier League last year. Obviously, Ross Barkley's a big miss, but they've still got players like Andros Townsend and I think Adebayo, Morris. They've got a really good squad there. So I'd be shocked if they were too far below the kind of top 3-4, but definitely got them in the top 2 for me personally. And I think Scott Parker knows what he's doing. When he's got a budget in the Championship, he very rarely fails. So I think Burnley and Luton for me, top 2.
Some good sides in this league. Callum, who have you gone for?
I've also gone Burnley, but I've gone for Leeds. I think Leeds will make some solid signings with the money they've got from Archie Gray. They've just got money to spend in the Championship, and that seems to be the way when a team's relegated to get them back up. They need to do that. So I've gone for Leeds and Burnley.
Vic?
I've gone for Leeds and Luton. I just think Leeds will probably kick on from where they finished last season. And Luton, like Jacob said, they've kept a lot of the squad. They've got a good manager in Rob Edwards. So I think they'll be the top 2 this season.
And Adam, what are you thinking?
I've gone Leeds and Luton, same as Vic. I think Leeds will storm the Championship this season, even if they do sell a couple of players. And then Luton have that very good squad, don't they, just to do the business. And I think they'll get back to the Premier League.
Yeah, Jake has gone for Leeds and Luton as well. I've gone for Leeds and Sheffield United. I think Sheffield United could be a bit of a surprise package this season. So that's who I've gone with. Let's think about the playoff winners then. Who's going to go up through the playoffs? Who do you think that's going to be, Jacob?
Don't really want to admit it, but I think it will be Leeds. I think they're going to break their playoff curse because they've got a pretty horrid look in the playoffs over the last few times they've been in there. But yeah, I think that they're a very strong team. I don't think they're going to keep Farker for the whole year. I don't think he'll be the manager come May. But I think they're going to be strong enough to finish in the playoffs, probably third. And I think if they get to the final this time, they'll get the job done and return to the Premier League.
Callum, who you got?
I've gone for Coventry. And I just like the way they play. Mark Robbins is a very, very good esteemed coach, and they've got some very, very underrated signings, and they played well last year. They're always in and around there, fighting against teams that probably would outcompete them in terms of off the pitch. So I've gone for them to kind of be a dark horse this season.
Sometimes there's always that team in the playoffs that I guess people wouldn't expect to be there. So might be Cov. Vic, who have you gone for?
I was going to say Cov, but I'll go for the other team now. So I was gone for Middlesbrough. I think that with Michael Carrick at the helm, play a good style of football. I mean, they could have sacked him last season after the poor start, but they finished off really strong towards the end of the year. And I think they'll only just kick on from there. I think they'll spend well, and I think they'll finally get promoted through the playoffs.
And Adam?
I've gone with Norwich for me for the playoffs.
Bit different.
A team who know how to win the playoffs, obviously in recent times when they've been in it. I know they just missed out last season, didn't they? Just narrowly. I think they did anyway, if I remember correctly. I mean, they're going to lose a couple of their star players this summer, but I expect they'll strengthen in January, and they're just one of them teams that always seems to be in and around it, and when they're in it, they're very difficult to beat. So Norwich for me.
I've gone for Luton. I just think they'll get it done through the playoffs. I think they're going to be there or thereabouts. So I've gone for Luton. Jake's gone for a bit of an outside prediction. He's gone for Bristol City. So he thinks that Jason Knight is going to get Bristol City up with Matt Bird. So yeah, not sure for me, but like I say, there's going to be certain teams that are going to be up there. No one predicted Ipswich, I don't think, to do what they did last season. So we'll have to see. But like I said before, some really good teams in this division. I think when you look at the table, you realise just how difficult it is going to be for Derby. But we're staying positive. With that in mind, we're not going to have Derby in the answers for this because we've already said that we're not going to get relegated. But Jacob, who's your bottom three?
I've got Plymouth rock bottom. I've got Oxford in 23rd, and I've got Blackburn in 22nd. I think the reason behind Plymouth being rock bottom, I don't think I need to explain why I think they're going to finish rock bottom. I don't know what they saw from Rooney's stint at Birmingham to decide that he's the right man. If he proves me wrong, then fair enough. But I think they're going to struggle for as long as he's at the helm. Oxford, I don't think they've improved their squad as much as they need to. And Blackburn, I was saying before the recording that it was kind of a toss-up in my mind. I wasn't really too sure who that third spot would go to, but they had a bad end to last season. They're going to lose Sammy Smodics as well. So, yeah, I think they're going to struggle unless they get some good players in pretty soon.
Yeah, and of course, when we beat them on Friday night, that's the start of it. That's the start of the downfall. Callum, who have you gone for?
I've gone for Plymouth, and then I've gone for Oxford, and then I have gone for Watford. Watford at the moment have got a lot of things going off the pitch that they're struggling with, and their squad's a bit bare. Plymouth and Oxford, I just think, will be a bit too much for them this season in terms of the league. I agree with everything that Jacob said about Plymouth. I think they're going to have a very interesting season under Rooney, and it's going to be quite funny to watch them from afar. And it'll be quite interesting to see how Rooney's taken with the Derby fans when Plymouth come to Pride Park. That'll be quite a fun one to watch.
Yeah, not sure on the reception he'll get, to be quite honest. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I think I agree with Jacob. I'm not too sure how he's managed to get that based upon his time at Birmingham, but you never know. He was a world-class player. If he can become a okay coach, then maybe he'll keep him in the division. Just going to YouTube quickly before coming to you, Vic. So Harvey's gone for Pompey, Oxford, Plymouth. We've got Blackburn, Oxford and Stoke, David Brake. Watford, Blackburn and Oxford. David Brake also says that, Callum, you agree on two things. So I think you've made a new friend on YouTube there, Callum. Vic, who have you got to drop down to League One?
It's pretty much the same as Jacob, really. I've gone for Plymouth. I think was it David that said everybody's underestimating Rooney. I'm not sure which Rooney you're looking at, but you've seen that he took 2 clubs down. He'll take Plymouth down as well. He's out of his depth as a coach, let's be honest. Blackburn, I think there's a lot of off-the-field trouble at the club as well as on the field. I know that they've got a court case coming up which can really define which way that club goes in terms of their stability. So I think they'll be in the bottom 3. And Oxford, I just think that they've made some decent signings, but I just think that the Championship might be a step too far for them. I mean, it's a great achievement for them to be there, but I just think with the quality in this league, I think it's just going to be too much for them. So yeah, Plymouth, Blackburn and Oxford.
And Adam, any other names that haven't been mentioned?
I think I'm going to defend Wayne Rooney here. I don't think Plymouth will finish in the bottom 3. I think Plymouth have made an astute sign in there. I think Morgan Whittaker, they play the right way to get goals out of him. And I think he's got a good assistant with him at Plymouth there, and they've kept the core of their squad from last season who stayed up. So for bottom of the league, I'm going to go Blackburn Rovers. I think losing Sismodics is too big for them, and the form they were in last season. I've then gone Portsmouth second bottom based off the fact I think John Mousinho will get a top end of the Championship job. I think he's a highly underrated manager, and I think once he goes, the holes in that squad will start to show. And then I've got Oxford narrowly on the last day in my head if I had to come up with a scenario right now. I like their business. I think they've kept the core of their squad, but I think at the back end of last season, when they lost the manager to Bristol City, I think they weren't as strong as what they were when he was there. I've forgotten his name, so that's not good from me. It's pretty unprofessional there. But yeah, I think them third bottom Oxford, so Blackburn, Portsmouth, Oxford for me.
Yes, I guess similar kind of names being mentioned. So Jake went with Plymouth, Oxford, Blackburn. I went with what did I actually go for? I think I did the same actually. So I did Oxford, Blackburn, and Plymouth as well. No particular order there. Yeah, the Rooney ones is quite interesting. I think he was massively out of his depth when he went to Birmingham, and then everyone from a Derby persuasion basically said that it must have just been Rossini, and Rooney was just kind of the front cover basically. So we'll see, but yeah, not sure he's got enough in him to do it alone. So he might have to bring in some more heads or be on the phone to Sir Alex or something like that. I mean, he's got quite the phone book to call upon, hasn't he, Wayne Rooney? So let's see what happens there. Just before we get the Blackburn predictions from you all, I just wanted to fire some quick fire questions at you. So you're going to have to remember what you answered for some of the questions on this one. But basically, I'll go through.
We'll never find out because he's gone.
What a cliffhanger.
Oh, he's back. Here he is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we heard you. You did disappear for a second, but you're back.
The questions are that quick, I've missed them.
Have you got me? Am I back?
You are back.
I am back. Apologies. I'm not too sure what happened there. But yeah, I've got some quick fire questions. If I go, then just wrap it up, Callum. You know what you're doing. But basically, I just want a yes/no answer from you on these questions. But you might have to remember what you've answered previously. So just a yes/no from Jacob to Adam. So first question: Will Paul Warne be Derby County manager at the end of the season?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Ooh.
It's a
Split.
good question. I wanted that split. Next question. Will Kenzo Houdmine have more goal contributions than Ben Osborne?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
Ooh.
I like it. Will Derby be in the relegation zone on Christmas Day 2024?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yeah.
This
Somber
question's
mood.
pretty good, actually. Yeah. That question is a little bit depressing, to be fair. Let me pick it up. Will Derby make it to the 5th round of the FA Cup?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, is it the split?
I swear it's just me and Callum versus Jack Cameron Adam at this point.
It's a generational thing.
It's
A generational thing.
It must be. Will Derby get more than 1 point combined in both games against Leeds?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, 6 points.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to say no there, Adam. You're up and down. So this is one that you have to remember your answer. So will Derby finish above Portsmouth and Oxford?
Not both. So
No.
no.
Yes. If I've thought about that correctly.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got Pompey and Oxford going down. Actually, yeah, Adam, I remembered your answer. And finally, will Derby sign a striker that scores over 10 league goals next season? So a striker that is not in the building currently.
Yeah.
No.
I hope so.
No.
No. I love YouTube because it's just yes, no's,
Yes, no,
all everywhere.
I've seen that, yeah.
That is brilliant. That's brilliant. Well, yeah, I mean, I've got what I wanted there. I wanted there to be a bit of a split, but I think on the whole, we're feeling relatively positive. Let's see how we feel after Friday. Friday's going to be a good first test because we're predicting that Blackburn could be, there or thereabouts at the bottom end of the table. So it would be a good bar to measure. And as we've said, there's still players to come in the door. There's still, I guess, a shape and a formation and personnel to really sort out. So it's not going to be an overnight thing. It might be the case that we need a couple of months to really see what Paul Warne's team is in this division. But I think it's exciting. It's exciting times. We got promoted for a reason, so we've got to enjoy it. We can't be too negative. With Blackburn in mind, Jacob, just coming to you quickly, what's your score prediction?
2-1 Derby.
Goal scorers?
Putting me on the spot. Osborne and Jackson.
Cal?
Ooh. I've gone 1-1. It's going to be a dreary game. Sorry for all us boys who are going up. And I've gone for Nathaniel Mendes-Lang to get our goal.
Vic, this is where you say like 3-1, 4-1, 5-0.
Should we go rogue and go 6-0? No,
Oh
I'm
my
joking. I'll go for a 2-0. I think we'll keep a clean sheet. Don't know how, but we'll do it. And Mendes, Lang, and Jackson to open their scoring accounts for the season.
Adam's got a Jackson hat trick, so 3-0. Is that right?
No, I've gone with the old faithful 2-1 win.
Oh, of course.
Safe bet from me. I've gone with Osborne with the opener for us. Well, maybe the equaliser opener, who knows? And then Mendes-Lang with the winner for us late on, similar to Reading away that opening day. 2-1 for me. Start as a means to go on.
Love it. Yeah, and Osborne scoring and kissing the Derby badge and just going absolutely mental. And we've said when he scored that goal in front of the South Stand, he didn't really celebrate. So we really want to see a celebration from Ben Osborne in the Derby shirt. Just going to YouTube. So David said 2-1 Derby. Davin Derbies has said Blackburn 4, Derby 1, I'm afraid.
Oh, God.
That is
We'll be leaving by half time if it's that.
Yeah, you might be home a little bit early, Cal, for that one. And then Harvey said 1-0, 79th minute, James Collins off the bench, a glancing header after a free kick sent in from Osborne, like the one against Shrewsbury. Get a bet on that because that is awfully specific. My prediction is 0-0, and I think Vickers is going to get man of the match. That's my prediction. I think Vickers
I don't want to
will have
go now. I don't want to go.
Yeah, I would go.
0-0.
Yeah, 0-0. I think
It's just because he didn't want to do a scores. He didn't want to do the scorers.
I didn't want to do the scorers. Yeah, I had to think about the scorers. But no, I think it would just be quite ironic in the Derby way that we've conceded a few goals pre-season, and then a player that we've kind of said, look, he's not good enough, has a good game. It's quite ironic. And then there's probably people on X and social media saying, oh, why are we spending 1.5 million on a new keeper when Vickers is the man? And then next week, he'll probably do something different. David said, have I been drinking? Just water, David, and optimism. That's all I've got pumping through my veins at the moment, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess. But yeah, this has been a bit of a longer episode, but I hope you like the predictions, and maybe we'll come back to this episode in a couple of months' time and see how close we are to some of the predictions that we made. I did listen to last year's, and we were all bigging up Callum Elder and Sonny Bradley. So this can only be better in terms of results, can't it? But yeah, if you've stayed and listened on YouTube and got involved in some of the comments, thank you so much. Adam's got the preview that he's recording tomorrow, so that'll be out Wednesday for you to hear a little bit more about the opposition and find out a bit more about that game on Friday. We're also up for the FCAs again, so you can nominate us for the FCAs. The link will be in the description to this video. And if you have enjoyed this, please do go give us 5-star wherever you get your podcast from. Go subscribe on YouTube so you can see all of our faces and our reactions to people saying outlandish stuff. You'll see their reaction to me saying that Howard Mine should play in that false 9 position. That was a screenshot that I should have took. But yeah, it's been a lovely episode, and we're all looking forward to getting going again. Championship Rams, let's do it. It's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
The Rams are staying up. It's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
See you next week.